You know you've been waiting for it. You know you've been waiting for Sam Haggerty. We all have. We all have been waiting for Sam Haggerty on this series. Zero point 0.2 war, according to Baseball Reference, and it may be higher or lower on Fangraphs. I just used Baseball Reference, by the way, because it's the easiest to sort. I love Fangraphs. I love the writers at Fangraphs, but it's a little easier to sort war on the Baseball Reference website, in my humble estimation. Before we talk about Sam Haggerty, I want to talk about Simply Seattle because Simply Seattle has the very best in Seattle sports gear. Great stuff for those Mariners, but also the Seahawks, the Kraken, the Huskies, the Sounders, the Storm, everybody Seattle sports related. You can find good stuff at simplyseattle.com. Find all your goodies and then put in code MOLLYWOP15 at checkout, and it will take 15% off your order. MOLLYWHOP15 automatically takes that discount off. We cannot appreciate Simply Seattle enough, and go get some good stuff because there's lots of really good gear, and it's holiday season time. I'll let you know my address if you're willing to give me something good. All right, Sam Haggerty appeared in 52 games, 108 plate appearances, overall slash of 253, 364, 341. That is a 705 OPS, and that is actually an above average OPS. 102 on the year. So when we're talking about Sam Haggerty's year, and we didn't spend a whole lot of time talking about Sam Haggerty. He was featured in some positives during our recaps. He was featured in some negatives. It was really a tale of two halves. When you look at what he did in the first half compared to the second half, I mean, it is night and day difference. In the first half of the year, he only got to play 10 games. At 48 plate appearances, and he hit 191, 292, 238. He was basically Tommy La Stella. For all intents and purposes, he was a faster, better defending, a little less power Tommy La Stella, although Tommy La Stella had very similar slugging total, I almost guarantee. I'm not going to look up those numbers again. I don't have to look up Tommy La Stella ever again. But in the second half of the year, over his 60 plate appearances, which again, it's not a huge sample on either side, 306, 424, 429. That's an 852 OPS. And the big difference here is batting average and balls in play. A 258 mark in the first half, which is very low, very low. A 333 mark in the second half, pretty high. Not a crazy high, but different. Much different numbers. So let's just talk about Sam Haggerty too, like tale of two halves. It's also a tale of things he can do and things he can't. What he can do, he can run 93rd percentile in sprint speed, very fast. He can take pitches. His chase rate and his walk rate are, if they qualified, excellent. His walk rate would be among the very best in baseball at 13.9, which is impressive for a player, and we'll talk about it in a second, has very little power. He also doesn't strike out, takes a lot of pitches, and what he does is he puts the ball in play. There's very little whiff here, 21.6, well below average in a good way. 15.7, well above average in a good way again for strikeouts. What he cannot do is hit the baseball very hard. He barreled the baseball 1.3% of the time. So of the 100 times that he came to the plate, however I was supposed to say it, one, and then just a little tiny fraction of another one is how often he barreled the baseball. Hard hit percentage of 26.7 is awful. That would be among the very worst in baseball, again, if he qualified. Expected slugging percentage of 329 just tells you that he does not hit the baseball hard. And the fact that he only connected on the sweet spot at 32% of the time as well, just it kind of tells you that he chops the baseball a lot. He pops the baseball up a lot. He gets a lot of weak contact. And it's one of the reasons why his expected batting average of 266 is a little misleading, because that stat is based on balls being put into play. And sure, yes, unlucky at 258. Not that unlucky, because there's just so much weak contact. I think the other thing that's really interesting about Sam Haggerty is you take a look at what he did against left-handers versus right-handers. And I'm going to hit pause because I need to pull this up. All right. So traditionally, Sam Haggerty has been more of a platoon guy who's better against lefties than righties. And the Mariners gave him a lot more plate appearances against southpaws than they did right-handed pitching. 75 plate appearances compared to 33. Last year, though, against lefties, he hit 238, 351, 349. It's a 701 OPS. It's very average by OPS standards. It's extremely low slugging percentage, a very solid on-base percentage. Against right-handers, 286, 394, 321. That is a 715 OPS. That's just slightly above average. Here's the thing. His batting average and balls in play against left-handers was 259. Again, very low. You want to know what his batting average and balls in play against right-handed pitching was last year? 421. That's just completely unsustainable on both sides, to be fair. It's even more crazy when you look at what he did against right-handed starters and left-handed starters. 213 against left-handed starters. That's a 518 OPS that he put up, 190, 277, 241 against right-handed starters. And look, he only got to face right-handed starters for 43 plate appearances. But he hit 364, 500, 515, 8 walks against 7 strikeouts, but with a batting average of balls in play of 462. Long story short, Sam Haggerty was extremely unlucky in the first half and extremely lucky in the second half. It balances out. My thing with Sam Haggerty is, first of all, he has a dog named Manicotti, and that's the coolest thing in the world. So automatically, roster spot. Congratulations, forever. My thing with Sam Haggerty is he is a guy who is capable of playing all over the field. He's not particularly great at it. Like, there's no position where I'm like, oh, well, this guy's going to be really good defensively at this position. He doesn't take great reads from the outfield. He doesn't have a strong throwing arm. And his hands in the middle infield or at third base or wherever you play him in the infield are just okay. I think there's a lot of people who would like Sam Haggerty to play more, and he certainly got his chance towards the end of the year because we talked about it with Canzone. He was a more successful player. I think the role that they carved out for him was just right. And I guess the question is now, the Mariners have so many guys who kind of profile as this utility infielder, and some guys who can play in the outfield as well as the infield. What is his role going to be? At least to open the year. Because, while he is certainly someone I think that having him on the roster is far from a horrible experience, I don't think he's someone that you really want to rely on either. And I think he's going to need a good spring training in order to make the team. I think he might need a really good spring training to make the team. And maybe, I'll get all sorts of wood. I don't have any near me, but it may take an injury. I could also see Sam Haggerty being of interest to someone in a deal. Just because of the fact that he is fast and he is capable of playing a bunch of positions. He's not great at it, but he's capable. So what do you guys think? What do you think the role for Sam Haggerty should be next year? Do you want Sam Haggerty on the roster? Do you want him to be a guy who is playing every day against lefties? Do you want him to start the year in Tacoma? It's going to be an interesting one. Please hit like, please hit subscribe, follow me on all those websites. Really appreciate it. And again, remember, Sam Haggerty has a dog named Manicotti, so be nice to him. So that's pretty cool.